In today's video, we're going to be looking at Airfix's 1/72 scale B-25H kit. In particular, their sort of gift set type boxing, which includes paint, brush, and glue. Apologies in advance also, just getting over a cold at the time of this video, so I'm a little bit nasally. So let's open her up. As I said, kit does come with a set of paints and glue as well as a brush, so they're pretty basic, but as I said, it's more of a beginner gift set type deal. Starting out, we have the wings. Overall, the plastic is a little on the thick side, as well as some of the detailings, such as here for the flaps, as they're a little overscaled. As I said, this is a 1/72 scale kit, so for this scale it's a little large. But they are thankfully on the deeper side, so once you get to detailing phase and doing washes, that will make them stand out nicely. Continuing on, we have one of the fuselage halves. A lot of detail is raised, as well as the riveting. It's, again, visually you can't tell it, but in terms of the actual feel of the parts, the riveting is a little on the excessive side, so that's something to be aware of. The various control surfaces are split in half into multiple parts, as you can see here, which is nice as it does allow for positioning. Here we have one of the engine halves, which are, again, they're nicely done, no complaints there, as well as we have the main cockpit tubs. Next sprue, we have more odds and end parts, as well as part of the tail surface. Prop spinner is a little bit odd in that they have this. Now, it's meant protected, but in my mind it's a little overkill, as it does now introduce a section where you're going to have to very carefully trim out the tips, so that does present a bit of a challenge. We also have some of the cockpit parts. Surprisingly, the control wheels came out nicely. There's not a lot of cleanup needed, which, again, for something this scale, it's something to be concerned about. Now, one thing to note on this is this kit does include two different noses, one with the 75mm cannon and the one with the 850s, which is a nice thing to include, as it does give you options. However, on this particular boxing, they have a really nasty ejector pin mark on the boxed version, so that's something that you should be aware of, as you need to clean up, as this is a really nasty one. Continuing on, I believe it was on this one in particular. Yeah, as you can see here, as I was mentioning, on this part, the prop blade has broken off from the tree and have a nasty bit of a gap that's going to need to get filled. Despite the scale, the engine detailing is pretty nice out of the box. It's definitely serviceable. So for someone who's starting out, you can get a pretty decent looking engine without having to go the aftermarket route. Since these are radials, you'll see a lot of detail through the cowling, which are fairly decent. Next up, we've got the various machine guns, which did survive nicely, so you don't have to worry about anything there, as well as some more crew figures. Landing gear, there's a bit of flash and pore stubs that's going to need to get cleaned up, but nothing significant. Next up, we've got the other fuselage half and the rest of the control surfaces. As I said, they're split fairly nicely so that you can position them and they'll look convincing without, again, going aftermarket. Now, next up is the clear parts, and this is where they kind of drop the ball, as the clear parts are very thick. As I said, yeah, you're gonna have to obviously just have to deal with these, as they're not that great. For 1/48 scale, they'd be fine, but for this scale, they are just overly thick. Granted, this does make masking them a little easier, as all the framing parts are on the a little bit on the overscale side, but again, catch-22 is you'll be able to mask them off nicely. One thing to note though on this part, one of the clear parts does have a nasty ejector pin mark. No idea how you're going to clean that up easily. Now, if it were just a seam line, that's easy enough to clean up, but a full-on ejector pin mark is a whole nother story. One downside of this kit is it only comes with one marking set. So moving on to the instructions, kit is a fairly straightforward build. Nothing really jumps out. One issue though is that the painting callouts are few and far between, so that's something to be aware of. But otherwise, it's a pretty simple kit. One issue you might have is when it comes to masking, it's the side gunner stations, as you're going to have to obviously deal with the gun sticking through. Only real complex part is going to be here in the tail. As I said, with the split control surfaces, just putting those together is going to be a little time consuming, just because you're going to need to take your time, make sure you get the right parts together. But other than that, though, it's pretty straightforward. Overall, a pretty just shake and bake kit. Nothing really jumps out. As I said, it's only one marking option, natural metal finish, relatively simple kit. Good overall beginner kit. And since as I said, this does come with the paint and glue and all that. Definitely one I would recommend as a gift if you're trying to give something to somebody to try to get them into the hobby. Do have a couple other kits like this that we'll be reviewing later, but for the first one out, overall I'm pretty satisfied with it. Does have some issues, but nothing really major that jumps out. Overall, I would definitely give it a recommend, especially if you're into this scale. Overall, I'm more a 1/48 scale, but it's a nice little diversion. So that was a look at Airfix's 1/72 scale B-25H kit. Till next time.